How's it going, everyone? We're here for the top skins for this week. And if you're new, it doesn't mean all of these skins are going to be in the shop next week. Only 8 to 10 pop in every week. So these are just the skins that have potential. Some of these, none of these, we'll never know until the week comes by. And this week is an update week. So we've got that. Starting out, we've got a burlap set for you, and it is the burlap banana leaves. So there you have that. We did get the poncho, so hey, maybe this will pop in. It's definitely a nice little kind of camouflagey little set. Next, we have another burlap set for you, and this one is the prisoner set by Bad Trip. And as you can see, it basically just makes you look like a prisoner. You've got like a little faded prisoner number there on the back, and it's just a nice, simple little burlap getup. Next, we've got some more burlap for you, and this time it's a kind of more regal setup. It's the captain's set with the jacket and pants, and yeah, it definitely has a nice dress uniform little thing going on. Almost too fancy for burlap. Next, we've got the return of the Wolf Hunter bandana and poncho, but this time with upgraded fur, and it's a lot less glossy, looks a lot more like actual real fur. And I definitely think a lot of people would love this, just for the fact of it's one of those things that just fits Rust so well. Next, we've got poncho just by itself, and it's an icy one. If you look at it, the whole thing is just kind of frosted on over, and yeah, it's just a nice little icy poncho for you. Definitely help with blending in around the snow biome. Next, with the continuation of the emojis cap, we now have a hoodie and pants to go along with it, and they've got all the different Rust emojis all over them, and they kind of give me like a pajamas feel, I think. I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of those, you know, you go into like Walmart or something similar, Tesco, whatever, and they have those kind of like silly pajama section, and this is just something like the Rust version of it. Next, we've got a crazy hoodie for you. It's the Slush set, and yeah, the whole thing just has like these green tendrils and a very kind of venom-y kind of vibe going on. It even has these crazy kind of green eyes, and I don't know if these are pustules. What are these circular things back here? I'm not sure. There's something going on with the butt too, man. But definitely a very cool and creepy set, for sure. Next, we've got some gloves and boots for you here, and you can see they've got this really nice detailed set to them. It's simply called the Lullaby set, and there were some pieces I didn't get to show you last week because I wasn't able to do my video, but you can see the beautiful work on these kind of like mossy runic boots and gloves. Next, we got some chest pieces with this one here, and it's all blinged up. It's got rhinestones and gold drip. It's the Gold Dreamer High Qual set. And it looks like they just poured some molten gold over whoever the previous user of this was, which that would be a very brutal way to go. And it used to be a form of torture, I guess. Or murder, I guess, maybe. That depends how far it went, I guess. Or if they poured it on your head, probably murder. Next, we've got version 2 of the Rhino, and it is the Sand Rhino. See there, it's version 2 of the Rhino, but the Sand Rhino. And I think they just did a really good job at pronouncing the nose. It looks like it pops up, even though it's just really just a flat area, but from the front it really does have a good, you know, cut off horn look to it. And the skin texture, I mean, they made it sandier and so forth, but it just really looks nasty, like it really was a skinned rhino. Next, we have a clown set for you, and it's simply just called Clown Set. And at first, you're like, oh, it just kind of looks like it's painted. But then if you look, you can see like the teeth are kind of like carved in a little bit and pop out, almost like someone put real teeth into the face mask. And it's like separate skull sections that are painted like a clown. And there's like little details. I think there's like a bone tucked in there. And yeah, it's just, the whole thing looks creepier the longer you look at it, which I guess is just kind of how clowns work. Last up, we've got one more for you, and we've got the continuation of the Good Boy set, and apparently we're going into armor. Full on with a snotty nose and a not very well censored dog penis, and weird legs hanging from the front. I don't know, the tail part is pretty funny with like the straps that look like a harness, but yeah, I don't know about this one here. Mask is definitely pretty funny and cool, and I like the harness idea, but the weird arms and then the dick might have to go. Alright, next up we have our deployables. We got a couple small boxes, and this first one here is a cool little box. It's the dungeon storage, which of course is part of the dungeon set. Definitely love how the skulls really look kind of like they're putting a little brick there, and it has nice little torches on the sides. They do glow, which we'll show you here shortly. Then we have a cat house box, and it's basically just like a little box converted into like literally a cat house. And there aren't cats in the game, but I mean there are supposed to be pets. I know dogs eventually, so I don't know. It's definitely a cute little idea that's very creative. Next we've got another silly little box for you, and this one is a bunch of ducks. And I don't know, it kind of gives me a bit of an Easter vibe, but we're nowhere near that. But this is the Duck Stories box, and I love how the top just kind of looks like that fake grass stuff. They did a good job with it. Moving on, we've got one large box for you, and it's a continuation in the electric storage set. There we go, electric storage set. Yep, and this is the Boom electric storage. Next, we've got a couple furnaces for you. The first one here looks like it is made out of the new parachutes coming in with this update. So, hey, maybe this will have a chance. Definitely has a nice high-quality detail to a very simple kind of thing. And it definitely looks quite nice. Next, we've got a very molten furnace for you here with the hot alloy furnace. And it has like a kind of hot molten alloy coming out of the top. And then kind of just burning through the front here. Next, we've got a table for you, and that's a pretty rare thing, and this one has so much detail put into it. It's really, really cool. This is the airstrike table. It has controllers and like an airstrike map, the new little helicopter. Just a really, really cool pieced together little thing, and it just looks absolutely awesome. Next, we've got some rugs for you. The first one here has a little star kind of theme. This is the My Little Space rug. Then we've got some tiles and wallpaper here. This from the same person, the white ceramic tiles and the blue ceramic tiles. So there you go. Then, and they're hard to line up, so forgive me. Then we've got another circular rug for you here with the full moon, and this has a glow and a non-glow version. Moving along, we've got some doors for you. The first one here is the low poly wooden door, and it just looks really nice. Translates really well. Such a simple thing, but I think it just looks really good. Next, we've got a pretty detailed little wooden door here that looks like it has a lot of, I don't know, stretched over hide maybe over the front of it, or just really nailed together old panels. And then you've got this dragon and flag, and it just kind of has like a regal feel to it. The back definitely looks like scored up old wood. Next, we've got a version 2 of this electric door, and the old one had 2 versions, and this one does as well. But the difference was you could see through the other version. In this one, it just has a non-see-through for both, but one is orangey red and the other one's blue. So, there you go. You can always go ahead and check the second ones down in the workshop link, which I always have in the video description down there. Then we've got this really awesome sculpted door for you with the Minotaur's Labyrinth door. Then we've got some target practice with the target door, concrete and bullet holes included. Moving along, we've got a pieced together door here with the oil rig door. Moving on, we've got a very kind of creepy, crypt kind of looking door with the Metamorphosis skull door, which also has a glowing and non-glowing. Then we've got a kind of groovy door over here with the chameleon pigment door. And then we've got a little alien complete with his own tinfoil hat for a continuation with the alien set. Onto another deployable. Then we've got this kind of crazy vortex thing going on, the portal sheet metal door. At first you're like, oh, is that just kind of like a painting pasted on? But then you start to see there's like a depth to it. And yeah, it's just kind of entrancing. Next we've got that kind of like 3D kind of print thing, or I guess it's like a clay and dog footprint to go along. Last week there was a cat one, so now we've got a dog one. Next, we've got a continuation of the porcelain set with the double sheet metal door, and this is like a foundry or a forge, and they're just, you know, working here on putting guns together, and it's even got the weapon racks on there before the weapon racks are in game. But hey, there you go. Next, we've got the Adobe sheet metal double door, and I put the Adobe frame around it just so you can tell, but, you know, obviously it would probably be metal. But one way or another, it's a pretty safe bet to think this one will probably pop in the shop. I'd be surprised if it didn't, but if it didn't, it'd probably be because of this one and how it didn't want 2 doors. Next, we've got a very cool looking mosaic garage door for you with the, well, mosaic horse. I mean, hey, there you go. And last but not least, we've got a singled armor door for you, and it's this crazy kind of electric mantis robot thing going on. And yeah, there we go. Very cool glow. Then you've got the Adobe door. And just that really beautiful glow on the artwork here. And that vortex, it just sucks you in even more. Alien with its glittery eyes, just like the furnace. And we got that creepy door. Target has a nice little light, so you don't have to worry about not being able to see your target at night. The Minotaur definitely has a cool glow, some runes around there. That definitely looks like a hot electric grill, basically. Wouldn't want to touch that. Then we've got our rugs over here. Then we can take a look at the table. Of our furnaces. And lastly, our boxes. Ducks definitely look creepy afterwards. Love that. Goes from like innocent to not so much. And then I like the little kitty lights up. Cat house lights up. And the glow around the skulls is just really, really cool in this one. Alright, let's jump into those tools and weapons. And first off, we've got a very hot looking rock for you. This one is, of course, a continuation in the smoldering set. And this one does glow. So there you have that there. Moving on, we've got a little shark rock, and yeah, it definitely has a kind of like an inspiration from, I think, that shark from Shark Tale. Is that what it is? It has a similar look, but definitely their own kind of thing. But I like the kind of cartoony kind of vibe going on with this one. Next, we've got a tool set for you, and it has these ancient cave drawings on it. This is the Primal Stone Tools set. Definitely has a nice handcrafted look to it. Of course, you have the matching pick to go along with it. Then we have some metal tools for you, which also have a kind of ancient vibe going on with the Nordic set. And there's that pick. Next, we've got some bows for you. Well, one bow and some crossbows. And this first one has kind of like a hot-tempered bit with a cutout going on. Definitely has that little welded kind of look along the side. This is, well, the welded hunting bow. Next, we've got some crossies, and this one here has a kind of cool design. This is the Ritual crossbow. Aim down the sights here, you can see the design a little better. We'll go ahead and load it up. Next, we've got another crossie for you, and this one is a part of the Lines set, and it has a really cool kind of cutout there at the bottom, which I think is pretty unique. Aim down the sights here. And there's that load up. Next, we've got a DB, and it's a continuation in the From Heaven set. And of course, these always have a glow and a non-glow version. So you can see right here. And there you have that one. Next, we've got another DB, and this one has a kind of like pixeled Doom kind of feel going on. It is the Retro Pixel shotgun, and it has two versions, a bloody one and a non-bloody, and I picked the bloody one. It just fits Rust so much better, you know? Next, we've got an Ioka for you with the pistols to start out, and this just looks like it's made out of like a chunk of metal. This is the Eternal Night Ioka. Next up, we've got more pistols, starting off with this Revy here, and it has a very kind of safari vibe going on. It's the Leopard Revy. Like the kind of carved wood and the carved stripes in there. You have some more of those stripes with this, and it also has a lighter tip, depending how the light hits. Next, we've got some pythons. The first one here has kind of like a old kind of faded look to it. This is the No Pity python. Definitely looks like it's got some use. Aim down the sights, you've got a nice red versus black for the tips. Next, we've got another Python for you, and this one's much more on the colorful side. It is the Ultra Light Python. Just has more kind of like tech look to it, and then it has that very kind of ultralight barrel design. Aiming down the sights here, you've got a neon kind of green versus the purple and black. Moving on, we've got a pistol in the continuation of what could be the charcoal set. We'll just have to see. With the MP5 popping in, maybe this Python will follow. We'll just have to see. It has the same thing with the sight, where it has kind of faded black to help you differentiate there. Next, we've got another Python. I told you have lots of pistols this week, and this one is the Lattice Python. It has a very kind of carved out kind of look to it. Almost steampunk, but not quite. Aim down the sights here, you've got kind of a gold white against the silvery gray there. Then we've got a couple saps. The first one here has kind of like a retro look going on. It is the overcharge sap. And yeah, it just kind of has a little lightning bolt going on. Aim down the sights, you also have kind of some purple lightning kind of faded in there with a bolt and a purple tip to boot. And there you have that. Last for our pistols, we've got a little happy little pistol for you with the Soldier Custom. And yeah, it's got a little daisy, and then it says smile because tomorrow, oh, come on, there it went. Tomorrow we will fight again. So there you have that. Aiming down the sights, it has a red tip and a little carved in smile for you. Moving on, we've got a Tommy for you, and this one is part of the modern military set, and it just really makes this Thompson look awesome. It's hard to work with the small space on these, and this just really pops really nice, and a lot of people love that military vibe. Also, the sight is very, very different. Even has a bit of a red tip. Next, we've got another Tommy for you, and this one is part of the Red Eye set, as it looks like it's continuing along into some SMGs. Aim down the sights here, you've got a steel tip versus the red. Next, we've got some customs, and this one has a nice kind of like almost chalk drawing, but it pops. You've got all these kind of different textures to it. This is the Ocular SMG. Aiming down the sights here, you got some like ruby gems going on and shiny blue sights. Next, we've got another custom for you, which is up on the neon side. This is the Restart version 2. You've got a level up and purple versus blue sights. And then you've got this kind of crazy skull. It has a whole very kind of retro look. I don't know, reminds me of Far Cry Blood Dragon, you know? It just has that same scheme going on. Next, we've got an MP5 for you, and this one's all carved up and awesome looking. This is the Blood Hunter MP5. Definitely a very cool looking set. Go ahead and reload. And there you have it. I just wish there's maybe a bit of a red on the side instead of just kind of fade a little bit of black right there. Next up, we've got some rifles, and the first one up is the version 2 of the Hardsuit SAR. And as you can see here, it's got a few changes. It definitely has a rearrangement of all the plates. And yeah, maybe this will pop in. I know a lot of people are still waiting for the rest of the armor, but hey, who knows? Maybe the gun will pop in. Aiming down the sights here, you have some faint gold tips, but it's a little bit hard to see with the shininess. And there's that reload. Moving on, we've got one more for you, and this one is part of the Pirate Collection, so this is also a very possible contender for this week. And yeah, most pieces have popped in. A lot of people really like the AK, and it has that same kind of design with the stretched former matte pieces attached to it. And on the sights here, you do have a little red tip, and an X marks the spot. Moving on, we've got some AKs, and the first one has this kind of retro look to it. This is the Retro Rhythms AK, so there you go. I mean, that's exactly it. Comes in two different versions, one with and without glow. So you can see this is the glow one. Has kind of like little screens, monitors, and light up buttons, which I think are quite cool. Moving on, we've got another AK for you, and this one is part of the Chemical Burn set. This is the version 2 of it, actually. And yeah, it just has some fix-ups. It definitely looks a lot more clean. I would say a little more detail to the actual gun itself. Aiming down the sights here, you've got iron versus that kind of polymer look to it. Then we've got a crazy AK here with this, like, lizard monster thing going on. I'm not sure. It's an ancient predator. And it's claws on the one side, and then if you look, it's got, like, a tooth thing going on with the trigger. And, yeah, the whole thing's just really creative. The sights, there's a tooth right there, and they're kind of like a orange and red, depending on how the light hits it. It's almost like a bronze with red. Then we've got some more AKs, and this one has a very messed up old look to it. This is the chromatic artistry. And yeah, it's got that chroma kind of look to it with the, you know, color patching, and then you can see there's some air vents. Aiming down the sights here, you've got kind of trimmed sights, I guess you could say, with a green and red tip. Next, we've got another one for you, and this one has kind of like a brushed steel thing going on. This is the Thunder Gold AR. Almost called it Thunder God. Might as well be, but yeah, it just has that, you know, corrugated steel, brushed steel kind of thing going on, and the gold trim definitely has a very kind of presence to it. Aiming down the sights here, you've got a very blinding steel versus the gold. Next, we've got an LR for you, and this one has some cool little designs to it. It is the version 2 of the Hot Stuff LR, and it has this hot rod thing going on. If you look at the front, it even has some exhaust pipes popping off, or maybe, you know, exhaust manifold kind of thing going on. And yeah, it just looks really well this time. The sculpting is just a huge upgrade. Aiming down the sights here, you've got some big red rings and a big red chili, just in case you didn't know that this gun was hot. Next, we've got an M39 for you, and it's the Toxic Wolf M39. Always good to see some M39s pop in, and this has been a pretty good, you know, set. I mean, lots of different guns and so forth from it, so I could see this popping in. It always looks like it does glow, but it doesn't, so it won't give you away at night. And it does have a nice little toxic green tip to the faded metal. Next, we've got two L9s to finish it off, and this first one here has this beautiful, clean military look. This is the Flashback L9, and it's just absolutely beautiful for those military-ass kind of lovers of me, like me. And yeah, it's just, look at that. Very, very clean. And the cutout in the back is quite cool as well. Then we've got one more for you, and ready to show you that AK. Here we have it, and this one just has a ton of cool carving. It's simply called the Scarlet L96, and yeah, this thing is just crazy looking. But there it is, everyone. You have it. Sound off down in the comment section below which ones you're hoping to see the most and why, or whatever. Just say hello. I love hearing back from all of you every week. Thanks for watching. Stay rusty, and have a great, fresh upcoming wipe.